Hi friends, today we are going to see about the economic crisis in Sri Lanka, where the country is facing the worst economic crisis since its independence in 1948. In 2021, the Sri Lankan government officially declared the worst economic crisis in the country in 73 years. Sri Lanka's $81 billion economy is struggling to meet foreign debt obligations of $6.9 billion this year, and its imports totaled to $20.6 billion in 2021. A number of analyses indicate that Sri Lanka is on the verge of a sovereign debt default as the country's usable foreign currency reserves plunged below $1 billion. As of today's date, Sri Lanka's foreign exchange reserve is at very low level of $2.31 billion and gold reserves of just $91 million. The country is struggling to pay for critical imports including fuel, food and medicines. Since foreign exchange reserve is low, country is not able to import crude oil, which in turn lead to spike in petrol diesel prices. Fuel is available only for few days. Ukraine conflict also led to increased fuel prices. Increased petrol diesel prices have led to increase in food prices and other basic amenities like medicines. This further caused inflation to surge, due to which food prices have skyrocketed. Because of shortage of petrol diesel, Sri Lanka faces up to 7 hours of power cut on daily basis. Sri Lankan Rupee has suffered serious problems recently. One USD is currently valued at 254.54 Sri Lankan Rupee. On 10th March, Sri Lankan Rupee has fallen a lot. It had fallen from 228 to 254 in a single day because of its low foreign exchange reserves. To cope with the foreign exchange reserve problem, Sri Lanka's central bank started to print more rupee notes of Sri Lankan currency. It brought more currency circulation in the country and reduced the value of Sri Lankan rupee, and it led to further inflation. Hence, the idea of printing more currency notes backfired the economy. The usual response to severe balance of payment crisis caused due to paltry foreign exchange reserve is to seek the support of IMF. Government of Sri Lanka doesn't want to go to IMF. Instead, they want to seek help from their friendly nations China and India. India recently extended $1 billion aid to Sri Lanka. Similarly, China too has extended their help to Sri Lanka. The reason why Sri Lankan government doesn't want to go to IMF is that IMF will give help with the conditions of austerity measures, which will be anti-populist. That is, people won't like such measures. However, people of the country are in full anger over the government because of the deepened economic crisis, which may result in political instability in the country. Since the public rage has elevated, Sri Lankan government is planning to start talks with IMF. IMF has warned Sri Lanka that worst is yet to come. In the past 56 years, Sri Lanka has needed IMF lifelines 16 times. With regards to taking help from IMF during crisis, Pakistan is a front runner while Sri Lanka stands second in that. Now let's check on the primary reasons which caused this economic crisis in Sri Lanka. First reason is the pandemic caused by COVID. Sri Lanka is a frontier economy, meaning an economy that neither underdeveloped nor big enough to be branded as an emerging economy. So it is in between. And countries like this are usually dependent on a few specialized sectors. And in Sri Lanka's case, they are highly dependent on tourism, tea and a few other agricultural products. Tourism contributes more than 10% to its GDP. When the pandemic hit the country, Sri Lanka's tourism industry took a beating and the GDP shrunk by 3.6% in 2020. Second reason for the crisis is the debt of Sri Lanka. People in Sri Lanka believe that Sri Lanka is in this situation because of the China's debt trap due to Hambantota port lease. But the biggest contributor for Sri Lanka's debt is the International Sovereign Bond, that is ISBS, which contributed to 36% of the debt, while China accounts only for 14% of Sri Lanka's debt. Sri Lanka owes $15 billion in bonds, mostly dollar denominated, of a total $45 billion long-term debt according to the World Bank. Third reason for the crisis is in March 2021, Sri Lankan government decided to go 100% organic, due to which they banned all chemical fertilizers completely. This hit tea plantations hard, and since tea exports accounted for a bulk of the dollar earnings, foreign exchange reserves took a beating once again. As per a report, tea is Sri Lanka's single biggest export, bringing in more than $1.25 billion a year, making up almost 10% of the country's export income. This ill-thought idea not only caused tea plantations and farmers, but also related services and financial sector that fed off from tea exports. As a result, the tea industry completely got capitulated. By the time the government did relax a few restrictions, the damage was done and the country had already lost out on much needed foreign income. Fourth reason for the crisis is tax cut post-election. As a part of a populistic measure, Sri Lankan government made an abrupt tax cut post-election last year in 2021. That also added to the economic problems in a serious manner. Fifth reason for the crisis is the deep-rooted economic weaknesses which were present in Sri Lanka for decades. That's all with our presentation on Sri Lanka's economic crisis.